Hello and welcome to another edition of Soulivity Live, everyone. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I am so glad that you joined us today. But before I get into today's very special show, I want to once again thank our guests from our last live show, a truly dynamic duo, Google Marketing Director Sharice Torres and Courtney Hicks, morning news anchor on WFXG Fox 54 in Augusta, Georgia. It was truly an amazing show. Now, if you missed it, you can see it by going to our website, soulivity.com or soulivity.latinx.com, and watching it on Soulivity TV, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So go get inspired, okay? So let's get back to our very special show. Sometimes when we are pursuing our passion and purpose, we find it hard to decide which direction we want to go in our lives. And we literally find ourselves stuck, trying to figure out whether to go left or to go right. Now, I want to tell you that the choice you make doesn't matter as much as just making the choice. Just start and everything else will work itself out in time. And as you move forward, you may find that you never only had to choose one thing. You can truly have it all. For example, Latin American singer and fashion entrepreneur Michael Coveto is using his creative gifts to inspire the masses worldwide. As Latin music is rising in popularity, so is Coveto's popularity among the Latin American community. Having recently landed a new management deal with TNG GK2, he is taking his musical talent to new heights as he continues to be a trailblazer in the fashion world. Yes, I said fashion world. Remember, you can have it all. Coveto's fashion brand, Coveto, is the direct reflection of his clean cut demeanor and high end lifestyle. Founded in 2009, this fashion line is refining luxury for the 21st century. As he has sold out several designs on the official Coveto website, his raw creativity puts him in a lane all by himself, generating influence, innovation, and creating timeless works of art has allowed him to bridge his love for music and creating high quality clothes for the world to enjoy. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome to Soulivity, Michael Coveto. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh
Pleasure to be
man,
here this morning.
I have been looking forward to this show for a long time. Um, I find you're a young man. I'm an
I
older
like to
dude.
think that, but
And you have, man, you have had so much success be and focus. And I wanted, this is kind of like reflects what we're trying to do here with Soulivity. And I wanted to make sure that people understood from like your life that look, you can start one way, but then that leads you to other things that you've always had interest in, and that you can really
absolutely,
do it all, but in time, right? So
absolutely.
everybody, as we're doing the live show here, I want to make sure that look, we love your questions. So as we're doing the interview, please just post your questions into the chats and all our social media, and we're going to get to as many questions as we can around the end of the show. So, all right, Michael, first question. These are these normal interviewee questions. Where are you from, my brother?
So I was originally born in Washington D.C., but my parents are originally from Mexico City. So
Mhm.
pretty much my childhood consisted of growing up between both countries, and I like to think I got the best of both worlds when I was younger.
Now, were fashion and music, I mean, where did this all come from? I mean, what was it like? First of all, what was it like growing up in Washington, D.C. with, were they first generation coming to the United States?
Well, I'm actually first
Oh,
generation.
you're first generation.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm first generation. So for me, I take very much pride in that, and I think that's a major influence in just a lot of things I do nowadays. I think even with everything going on at the moment,
Yeah.
it's never a good thing to lose track of your origins and your roots.
Right. And what was it like growing up being first generation here in the United States?
Well, for me, it was something that I guess as a kid you really don't understand. But my parents immigrated here in the '80s. They immigrated from Mexico, escaping poverty and stuff like that. So for us, it was a very big change from the very beginning. A big change for them, and for me as a kid as well for the first few years until my father was able to get his feet on the ground and help my family forefront to a better life, which is what they came here chasing. They came here chasing the American dream, and that's what they had their eyes set on. And for me, that's the motto I live by every day: an American dream. I'm glad to
Wow.
be here.
Is this in part what drives you? I mean, it feels like that's innate for you, right? That you
Yeah,
saw your father and your mother, they came here They want to work hard. They're going to work hard for the next generation. Is that what also drives you? Are you trying to pay it forward as well?
Absolutely. For me, I never forget the struggle that we had to go through as a family when I was younger. So for me, that's always embedded in my DNA. And to this day, it's something I take very big pride in. And as some people may know, I recently even just launched my own foundation earlier this year.
Wow.
So we're working on a few great projects to give back, starting with my hometown, I, my parents' hometown, I would say, in Mexico City. So look forward to that as well.
Wow, man, that's great. Again, everybody, I hope you're listening to what Michael's talking about here, right? It's not just one thing. So if you have these dreams and aspirations, you can do them in time, right? Michael, tell me, where did the fashion come in? I mean, was that the first love, or was music the first love?
I would say my first, I guess I like to put it, walk into this life would have been music brought me into fashion. You know, music opened up opportunities for me to engage in more fashion things, and I think that's really where the love grew
Hmm.
into what it is today, and ultimately what led me to birth this brand of mine. That's something I'm very proud of as well. But music definitely was the outlet
Hmm.
that I would say opened up a lot of things for me.
Wow. Now, did you play an instrument when you were younger? How did the music come in?
Well, the music really got into me. It wasn't something that I would say came in from birth. It was something that I found myself doing along the way in my teens. It was in high school when I started hanging out with a group of friends of mine who were really heavy on music, and I think it was that influence of just being around a creative environment that motivated me to just start experimenting with a lot of things. You know, I think when you're young and you just are exposed to the different kind of things, I at some point something's gonna stick. And I think music was just something I gravitated to, and it just felt natural for me. And I think ever since then, it's just been a process to grow and make it what it was. But I can't sit here and say that I was born a musician or born a singer or songwriter. It was something that I found, just like I found fashion. And I
Right.
think in life you're able to find a lot of things if you really are passionate about the art. You know.
Wow. Now, we were talking offline about, I'm an older dude. So, I was listening to, jazz and R&B, some rock, some pop when I came into, this the artist, the creativity part of this. What were
Absolutely.
some of your early things that were kind of like inspiring you to kind of move in this direction?
Well, my childhood was a very diverse household, so I was heavily influenced by American Latin culture from a very young age. So I would say that as far as music goes, what inspired me was, a lot of Latin. Uh, I would like to say OG Latin icons at this point. Michael Jackson and stuff
Right.
like that. Musical influences. Another thing that kept my creativity flowing as a kid was my dad. Eventually, once we got our stuff together, he landed a job at a art institute. So he would bring me
Wow.
around a lot of exhibits and stuff like that. I think that's also where my creativity started flowing when it came to just art. I'm a big art lover, a big art fan. To this day, it's something I admire very much, and it's something that I've always been passionate about as well. But unfortunately, I ended up in the music, entertainment, and now the fashion industry. But I'm very proud of everything. So, I just to answer your question in brief, I think it was just my childhood was a very creative environment. So for me to
Wow.
end up a creative person was just a natural thing, and it just happened naturally for me.
So it sounds like that your folks embraced all of this, right? Where, you wanted to go out here and do this and be a creative, right? Which is
Absolutely.
multi-dimensional, right? Uh,
Absolutely. I think creativity is a very broad spectrum, and it entitles you to a lot of things as long as you understand the journey that it takes to make certain things happen.
Now, when did you make the decision to kind of like, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. When did you really feel as though that's when I want to this that's the direction I want to move in? Was it, when and what did you do? So was it you went into music first, or did you go into fashion, or was it a combination of the two?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I found myself in a weird place. This probably would have been, I left home when I was 17. I moved to New York when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
My original plan was I had gotten a scholarship to go to college, because I had been in a design program in high school, and that offered me a scholarship to end up in New York. So I took the opportunity, thought that might have been it for me. Fortunately, I think once I was there, I realized that my goals and aspirations were something different, and
Mm-hmm.
me having mingled in music in my early teens, it was something I gravitated more towards once I was in. I mean, Washington D.C. is not I would say, a small city either, but I think that New York City is a metropolis that, especially a young kid being in a city all by yourself, you're exposed to just so many different things. And me being a creative, like I was at the time, it just opened up a whole another mind state for me. And I think that's really what triggered me to, at first, really focus on the music early on. But I think once music started to open up different doors for me, I started coming around just different kind of environments. In this case, I ended up, doing fashion weeks and stuff like that. So that's
Oh,
really where
wow.
I started growing my love for fashion. And just being in a city like New York, you're exposed to fashion everywhere you go. So just just breathing that air, being on the
Right.
street, it just breathes fashion to me. And that's not something that I've never had been exposed to beforehand. And that's really what gravitated me to make the decision ultimately, once I started figuring out that it was bigger than music for me, that I had bigger aspirations to, also branch into fashion. And we really haven't looked back since, and we're just focused on moving forward at this point.
Wow, man. So you just took the leap. People talk about
I
it,
like to
right?
say it like that. I took the leap. I I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a smooth journey. I mean, as a creative, you always go through setbacks. You always go through some kind of gap in between that leap that you need to overcome. And for me, it was really just, the problem with me was I had to learn the business myself. I had to really understand what I was walking into, because at the time, one thing about me that I say to this day is, early on, I didn't have anyone to mentor me in the sense of
Mm.
how to get things done. So it was a learning process for me early on. And I'm very grateful for my foundation years, which is where I really learned how to maneuver in a lot of situations
Mhm.
that probably I wouldn't have learned if I didn't go through certain situations. And
Wow.
that's kind of what led me to, everything moving
Did you
forward from
did
there.
you did you eventually find any mentors? I mean, along your way, did you find a couple of people that kind of guide you through some of this?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was a matter of time when I first had gotten into the music. For me, it was kind of just understanding even what it meant to be an artist at the time. It was just such a, the music industry is just so, it's just a place that moves so rapid.
Hmm.
So it's like comparing today to, I'm talking about maybe 5 6 years ago. It's just a whole nother market now. It's we're talking probably prime time Gaga at the time. So at
Right.
the time, it was me trying to find my sound. Trying to just understand how to move forward as me being an artist. Something that wasn't naturally given to me, that I had to, um, unroll myself. So through some time, I think that networking and getting out more, I ended up meeting a business partner of mine, who's still my business partner to this day.
Wow.
When it comes to music, shout out to Kiev Campbell.
All right, there you go.
Great, great guy, great mentor. He spent some time over at EMI Records before it got bought up by Universal. So for me, he was a mentor, and teaching me a lot of the industry early on. And to this day, I'm still very grateful for everything, and we're still partners to this day, and we have
Wow.
big plans of moving forward with everything now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about some of those big plans in the second segment. Because today's a big day for you,
Yeah,
another big day.
with many more big days to come. You know.
Exactly, right? Claim it. You better claim it. Um, Michael, again, I find you to be so fascinating, man.
Thank you so
Because
much.
you because since you took the leap, you're through in your speech. As I
Oh,
hear you, you are talking directly from experiences that you had that were part of you deciding, look, this is who I am, right? And this is what I'm going to do. Am I right about that?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think
I mean, um, as you talk about the time that you spent in New York specifically, and the challenges that you went through, because I think that sounds like, I remember I was growing up and my folks and their folks would talk about paying your dues, right? Um, do you feel like that when you were paying these dues, that as you look back, I should say, as you look back on that, that the lessons that you learned were so very instrumental in your decision making process today?
absolutely. I think for me, everything's a learning experience. So paying it forward to try to empower someone that comes after me is definitely something that's in my plans, and I think it's something that naturally just comes. Um, you know, the way I look at it is, if someone would have probably took me under the wing early on and guided me, or at least given me some advice early on how
Hmm.
to maneuver in certain situations, I think that that would have been just a whole value of information that could have helped me to excel, maybe a different route or just maybe at a different pace. And it's not something that I look back like a negative thing or anything, but I just think that I think that when you are able to uh, go through things and overcome them,
Hmm.
that just empowering, or just uh, being able to share this life lesson that you've been through other people going through similar things is a blessing, or whatever you might want to take it as, to be able to just help someone in a similar situation, maybe not have it so bad,
Yeah,
or vice versa.
yeah. Thanks for that, man. Um, let's talk about your fashion line. You launched your fashion line in 2009.
Yes, so we it was Coveto was born in 2009, as that's when everything came together. But I
Hmm.
would say we really started rolling, probably 20, because it took us a few years to develop, get
Hmm.
everything structured and develop. So structure and development took a little bit, because for me, I had to make sure it was something that I had done right.
Hmm.
This was something that I've been working on for, I mean, more than a decade now at this point, and it was just a matter of the right timing for me. But we the idea came later in 2009. We launched in about 2015, 2014 was when we really
Hmm.
started rolling things out with the situation.
Hmm.
So we're still a pretty relatively new brand, if you take into consideration all the other brands out today.
Hmm. What was your first release in terms of fashion? What drew where were you drawn to, like, okay, was it certain apparel? What was it?
Yeah, well, when we first started, it was pretty straightforward kind of things. We started with a capsule collection of, I believe it was, I think in 2015 we launched this capsule collection of shirts. That
Okay.
was what we first started with, yes.
Hmm.
And then accessories followed. We dropped another capsule collection, and then recently, our most recent one was a capsule collection for more winter wear, which is what we were focusing on at the time.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of fashion, when did the connection, because you're now traveling between a couple of different cities, one of
Yes.
which is,
Correct.
as people probably know, is my favorite city in the world,
Mhm.
Paris.
Yeah,
What
correct.
was it like going from New York to Paris and getting immersed in that fashion scene?
Well, for me, first and foremost, that was a dream.
Right.
I still remember to this day the first time I ever went out to Paris,
Mm,
which was even before it had anything to do with the clothing line. I fell in
okay.
love with the city. I had gone as a tourist, I remember, and I always told myself I would come back here one day and make something out of the situation. So
Wow.
I think fast forward a few years later, I had the opportunity to attend my first Paris Fashion Week, which was really when I would say I not only kind of made it made it known that it was coming along, everything was coming along, but it was just a vibe that I had never experienced before. So for me, that really impacted the way I saw things and just exposed me to a whole other market. I think
Wow.
Paris and New York are just very different when it comes to fashion markets. The people are very different.
Hmm.
The vibes are very different. Previous to me going to my first Paris Fashion Week, I had the New York Fashion Week maybe 3, 4 seasons already at the time I was already in.
Hmm.
So for me, it was a norm for me at the time, going to shows, I was used to it. But, Paris was a whole nother vibe. And it was just something I'll never forget the first time I went to Paris. And I think that's really where I just got more motivated to tell myself that, my movement is global. And for me, I see expansion to the highest degree and just expanding, to the best that we can. So Paris was definitely a key city for me that I knew I had to make my mark in, and we're, God willing, going to be doing that. So
Oh no, I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
thank you
Um,
so much.
um, it's funny because you talk about, I love New York too. Don't get me wrong, New Yorkers. I love New
Amazing
York
city.
too.
Nothing against New
Um,
York. Don't people coming at us like you're
and
throwing
DC
New York? No.
too.
Yeah.
We're based in DC, so but it's like New York and Paris are like two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Both very urban, but it's like how they how the urbanness of the cities presents itself is in two different ways, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, what's next for you in terms of the fashion line? I mean, you're talking about expansion. What does that look like for you?
So our vision for expansion is we are working on debuting our first official runway shows
Okay.
in Paris and New York. That's our next step. We up to par. We had done capsule collections. We had done collaborations and releases. We had done things like that, but we had never actually gotten a chance to debut anything on a runway. So for us, that's something that we take good pride in, and it's something we're working towards to be able to start expanding worldwide and just grow our brand. You know,
Wow. What are your
yeah.
current inspirations in terms of the fashion? I mean, what out in the world are you looking at that's inspiring you to create?
Well, as far as creativity goes, I'm very inspired by architecture. One thing I love about Paris is just the architecture is very unique.
Yeah.
It's just for me inspiration. I can't really say that it's one thing. I think for me inspiration is a vibe. It's a
Hmm.
vibe where I feel like if I'm in a new place or I'm in an environment that I've never been in before, that to me that's inspiration because I find things that I'd never seen before that trigger ideas for me that I would say um, lead me to create and just grow as a person in general. But I mean, obviously, looking at designers and what's going on right now and everything and that revolves around that, I think inspiration for me is just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, right
definitely.
now is just crazy, right?
Yeah, everything
Just
going on right now. It's a very difficult time, but I know we're all gonna get through it, and life needs to move on, and that's all we can do at this point.
exactly. Exactly. Have you been back home? Have you been back to here to DC lately?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's
What do you, yeah, go ahead.
It's I like to spend as much time as I can with family. Right now with all this quarantine going on and stuff like that, it's a time when we could take advantage of maybe a lot of things that we overlook sometimes,
Yeah.
or never really had the time to address. But yeah, it's still my hometown at the end of the day, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities it gave me,
Mm.
and making me the person that am setting out to be. So very
Yeah,
special
man.
place for me. So
Yeah, it's like no hopping on the Acela, right? There's none of that happening right now.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
um, what do your parents say about your life right now? I mean, I'm sure they're proud of you, but what when you're like doing things, what do they say to you?
I think my parents have always been a set of parents that have always supported whatever it is that their kid wants to do.
Mhm.
Maybe coming from a background of being first generation American, they don't quite understand. They never quite understood what it meant to be a creative. So I think that's
Um,
always a challenge growing up as in a Latino community, or maybe not even Latino, but just in general. I think people sometimes don't understand how you can make a career, or um, something out of something as creative as just maybe music, or a clothing brand or something like that. But they're very supportive. They've always been from day one, and I'm very grateful for everything they taught me early on, and the morals of what I had mentioned earlier. Just embedding me with that American dream mentality, and I think that's what really drives me to move forward with everything, and that's what they care about the most at this point. That I'm chasing my dreams, and for me that's my American dream. So
yeah.
they're content with that.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that they are here. I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad
Thank you
that
so much.
um, uh, you and your family are inspirations all the way around. And thank you for sharing all of this with us. Hey, everybody, we're going to take
Thank
a
you.
quick commercial break, but we'll be back with more. We'll talk about uh, some of this new expansion that's
Yes,
happening in
yes,
Mike's life
definitely.
right right after this. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Si no te tengo me pone mal. Eso que tú tienes es especial. Come and sip this honey with me. Flying out to the Caribbean. Mommy, never forget who you are. Siempre supe que tú eras the one for me. And I'm thankful, I'm thankful. Por todo eso que tú tienes, I'm thankful, I'm thankful. Que ahora nada es igual y I'm thankful, I'm thankful. Por todo eso que tú tienes, I'm thankful, I'm thankful. Que ahora nada es igual, no.
Wow, dude.
You had me dancing. You
I
had me dancing coming into
know, right? I'm like,
the
start moving. Everybody, you're just listening to one of the latest songs, Thankful by Michael Coveto, the international singer-songwriter and founder behind the global label Coveto. This is part of his recently announced
Yes.
release of his new EP, All or Nothing. Welcome
Or like
back,
they say in
Michael
Spanish,
Coveto.
all or nada.
All
That's how they say it in Spanish. Thank you for
Tell me
having me.
about the release, man. This is some hot stuff.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for the release. You know, we just it just came out last night. Well, today technically. So it's an EP that I had been working on for a while. It's something I was very fortunate to have had the chance to work on over the course of the past, I would say, year and a half. You know, just between everything going on with me right now and just all the traveling back and forth, it was something that for me felt right to put out just in time for the summer. You know, my fans have been waiting for something for a while, and I've been teasing my fans for a while. And it was just a lot of setbacks and delays. You know, certain things I wasn't content with, and you know, just even my management and just people that work with me, just certain, you know, just a lot of things that had to get sorted out before we could put this out. But I'm grateful that it's finally out, and I'm happy that the fans and supporters are really embracing the EP. I'm very thankful for that. Like they said, thankful.
Man, everybody, I mean, I had a chance to kind of review the songs. All of them are hot. I
Thank
mean,
you
there
so
was
much.
Michael, you know, when you listen to some people's music, it's like, yeah, okay, that one's cool.
Thank you.
And then you skip or swipe. I did not swipe any of the music. It was
Thank
like it's all the rhythms, the vocals over the top. Who are some of the people that you collaborated with on this one?
So for this project, I'm very proud that I got a chance to go back to my roots. You know, this is actually, since getting into the music industry, my first official full bilingual album where I was able to, you know, really get out my comfort zone and experiment with touching back to my Latin and Mexican heritage. So I pretty much all the features on the record are, you know, emerging Mexican talent that I'm very fortunate to have gotten a chance to connect with via social media.
Wow.
And it was just, you know, it was a vibe for me. You know, we would get in the studio, or we would all get together whenever I had a chance. You know, at the time I was going back and forth for taking care of business I had going on in Mexico City at the time. So the EP just came together organically, and
Wow.
it was important for me to you know, exposed to the world. You know, they have their own movements going on, with all due respect, in Mexico and everywhere that they're at. But for me, it's like I wanted to expand that reach, and you know, maybe give them a platform that they weren't tapping into as much, which is the American market. So I think that for me, it was just about putting something together that felt special, and took it back to my roots. And I think that's what we were able to accomplish with All or Nothing. And we're moving forward with it. Very grateful for it.
Wow. All or nothing.
All or nothing. That's
Or
it.
nada.
That's the motto. Or todo or nada. That's what they
Now,
say.
what does that mean to you specifically?
Well, for me, I think I'm at a point where it's all or nothing. You know, it's we're doing everything that we're setting out to, or we're not doing what we set out to do. I'm at a peaking point where, like, my drive is just so running full speed ahead that it just felt right to just title something that explained my mentality at this point in my life so well.
Wow. Dude, again, you're like wiser beyond your years. You know that?
Really?
I'm like, yeah, let me write that down.
So much.
Now you recorded the EP in Mexico City, or did you record it here?
Well, it was a combination of both. You know,
Okay.
I believe that a few records did come to life when I was out there. We got a chance to get together, and you know, with me, it's all about the creative space.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's some, that at the time sometimes I'd record out of a hotel room or wherever I was staying, and I'd invite these people over. We'd all vibe out, and what I love about the world we live in today is technology is so advanced. It's not like back in the day where you needed to get into a studio or just needed a big working environment to make something great happen. It's like, people are making amazing music off of laptops and a microphone, so it was just a matter of getting together with these people at the time, and we made some great things happen. And what didn't get finished up was finished up here in the States. And I believe even a few records came together when I was overseas in Paris. I think a few ideas got polished up out there, but I like to think it was a very international project, and I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope people enjoy it just as much as I did making it.
Wow. Now the track "Thankful."
Thankful. That's your favorite. I could tell.
Man, it is, man. I went because was going through all of them, and I love all of them. But there's just something about that track, right, that just grabbed me. And I mean, and I know it's cliche, right? It's thankful, right? I mean, you're kind of like, yeah, but it felt like there was something deeper in that song, for me, but maybe for you too. Am I right about that? Was it, was there when you had when you created that song, was there a specific meaning behind it that meant to you?
I think it could be perceived a few ways, but for me at the time, I was I'm still definitely in that situation, but I'm very grateful to have a certain person in my life at the time and to this moment. And I think that's kind of where the whole inspiration behind that song came together, as well as being thankful for just life in general. We could look at it that way, but it's really was dedicated towards a special someone.
Do you think sometimes I know my grandfather used to tell me that the best kind of inspiration is to wake up in the morning and just be grateful for just that moment and for the life that you have. There's always something to be thankful for. Do you feel as though when you're in that space, other things start to happen right after? Do you kind of notice that at all?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a firm believer in energy, and I think energy attracts good energy. So if you're putting good energy out, at some point you're gonna match that good energy. If you're putting negative energy out, you're gonna find yourself in pretty weird situations. But like your grandfather put it best, it's sometimes we're so caught up in living in this world that we just forget to enjoy the moment. And that's something I've been learning over the course of growing up, that it's not sometimes always about moving forwards. That's very important as well, but sometimes you gotta just enjoy the moment, and a lot of people sometimes take that for granted.
Wow. Thanks, man. Thanks for that. You ready for some questions from some?
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
All right. So got a first question from someone who says, what are you listening to right now? What are you listening?
Ooh.
What's on your phone?
What's on my phone? All or Nothing's on my phone. That's what's on my phone. So make sure you check us out. YouTube at Michael Coveto, Instagram at Michael Coveto, Spotify at Michael Coveto. All or Nothing available now. Let us know. Share it, stream it, download it. Gracias por todo el apoyo, mi gente. We love
you. All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, that should be on your phone.
That should, yeah. Thank you so much.
What were, in terms of music, who are some of your traditional influences? Was it, some Latin American artist, or who were some of your early inspirations?
Oh, definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, with our conversation, I had grown up in a very diverse household. So, my dad would play everything from, Michael Jackson, the Eagles, soft rock, to Celia Cruz, which is big salsa, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's just a lot of diversity, man. And I think to this day, I listen to everything, to be honest with you. It's not something where it's like I'm stuck to one thing. I love all music. If you know, for me, music is a language that speaks to anyone, and it's about it's about connecting to a song. And you know, I've heard great records. I don't understand the words that they're saying, but I love them because
Right.
it's something about them that just connects to you, you know. And but to answer your question, it was like early inspiration. I would say, yeah, definitely. You know, some of the greats, rock bands growing up. You know, some big Mexican rock bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Michael Jackson was someone we would play often in the house, and certain people along those lines that really got my creative juices flowing, like you would say. Right.
Here's another one. If you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why?
Mm,
That's a good one.
wow,
That's a good
that's a good question.
one.
I would say, wow, that's a really good question.
Why don't we
Hmm.
take this in two pieces? Why don't we do fashion and then music?
Okay, definitely.
Fashion wise, who would you want to collaborate with?
Well, I definitely in fashion. I would have. Well, at this point, he's deceased, but I would have loved to collaborate with Karl Lagerfeld. I mean,
Oh,
rest in peace.
ooh,
That's someone I really looked up to early on. It was just the whole movement of Chanel was something I was very inspired by. And, you know, unfortunately, I don't think that would have happened at this point because, you know, rest in peace. But I would say someone that's living.
mm,
Um, wow, that's very. Oh, I'm very inspired by what Virgil Abloh is doing over at Louis Vuitton. You
okay.
know, it's to me that's the first step for I like to say for all minorities to be, you know, excelling in life. You know, it's he's the first African American designer to ever, you know, take control of a menswear house like that. So for me, that's a very big step, and I hope to see a Latino there one day as well. And you know, we're all brothers, and we're all
Exactly.
family, and you know, it's like we're all united. So it's a beautiful thing to start seeing the diversity start getting in these positions that were traditionally just usually, you know, like to say, European people and stuff like that. But we're definitely opening new doors, and I think in the future we're going to see a lot more of that come to life.
Yeah. What about music? Who would you collaborate with
Mm.
musically?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Kanye West, you know, so I
Yeah.
think that's someone I'd love to work with at some point, even with what he's doing with fashion. But there's a lot of great artists out now that are probably not so recognized that I think are super talented. You know, for me, sometimes it's not so much about the name; it's more just about, you know, you being a fan of someone's music, and I think that's what I've gotten to a point where if I'm a fan of your music and I love your movement and I love what you stand for, I'm always looking to be a part of whatever I can get into that I see is trying to share a positive message and just trying to, you know, do great things in this world that's pretty bad right now, you know.
Wow. Nice. Okay. Here's another one. Michael, we love you, of course. Um, is there a tour planned? What?
Yes,
That's a
there is
good
a
one.
tour. There is a tour
Okay.
plan. Unfortunately, I can't give you dates because everything is just all over the place right now. But as soon as we have something solidified and rescheduled or whatever, um, we will be the first to let all the fans and supporters know. We thank you guys so much, and we hope you guys are staying very safe with everything
Wow.
going on right now.
What's your
Absolutely.
what's your most memorable performance?
Wow. So most
Yeah,
memorable.
what's I know you got one because I know I have one.
Yeah,
What's yours?
definitely. Well, my most memorable performance is probably my worst performance, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. I'll never forget that. You know,
All
it
right,
was
spill. Come on, give it.
so I would say it would have probably been wow, I can't remember exact year, but it was an event I had gotten uh brought into to perform for a private fashion week after party for a designer.
Okay.
And I'll never forget, we had gotten, you know, everything was just off that night from the get-go. So I already kind of had a feeling something was going to go totally wrong. But we'd gotten to the place. We had been fortunate enough to have performed at the actual fashion show, which we went through some technical difficulties. The sound was a little off and things like that, but
Yeah.
we pulled through. We made it happen. But I think it was when we got to the after party where things really went downhill. We were pretty much the place was so packed that, and to begin with, it was a very small, intimate setting. It wasn't, it was like, this was really more like a friend of ours that had that was in with the designer. This was very early on, and when I first started doing music, I remember, and we pretty much ended. I think we, to this day, I'll never forget it. It was so packed that they weren't letting more people in because the space was probably a venue for about maybe 100 people, and for New York Fashion Week and New York, that's very small because these events get jam-packed very quick. So we ended up making a stage out of like some tables or something. I'll never forget it. Just because the venue was almost over capacity. They had people already on the stage, so there really was no stage.
Right.
Security, I don't know where they were. And so we said, all right, cool. We had already gave our word we were gonna follow up with a performance for the after party. So we pulled through, and we somehow made a stage out of tables and a portable mic, and we made it happen. And I'll never forget it. I'm very, very grateful for that experience. It taught me a lot to be a little more organized in certain things.
It's like, okay, do not make a stage out of tables.
Do not make a stage out of tables. Only if you have to, and be very careful, because I'll never forget the crazy thing about that is that I was probably I don't know, maybe like 5 seconds falling off the table because some girl had like leaned on it and it was tilting over, and me in mid performance, I think my partner at the time was quick to grab me because I was literally about to slide off that table. Like, I'm already not a very heavy person, so I probably would have ended up embarrassing myself on the floor or something. But it worked out with some setbacks, but definitely a memorable experience.
One of these days when we're just talking, not online, you guys can't hear any of this stuff. I'll tell you about some of the stuff that I've gone through too. One was a mic, an amp.
It's always the littlest things for some reason. Always the littlest things. I don't know why. It's always little.
And you're like, okay, and you got to keep going. You cannot stop. You just have to keep going, right? And like smile and like like nothing has happened.
Right. Even if it's cracking and all that, it's gonna be all right.
A couple of final questions for you from me.
Absolutely.
Again, Michael, the thing that, as I read like your bio and the things that you're doing, and I always do my homework on people, right? I want to try to ask questions that give our audience more of a fuller picture about your journey and other people's journeys, because it's not as you've described. There is no such thing as this overnight success. They see that you're young, they think, oh well, he got picked up by somebody and boom, it just happened, and that is not the case. So my first question to you is, what advice would you give to someone who may not be happy right now, but they're doing, and they feel as though they want to move in another direction, but they're unsure, right? Because of that fear. What advice would you give them? Like if you were talking to me and I was the person that was going through this, what would you say to me about that?
I think, the best advice I could give someone in that situation would be, hmm, I'm just trying to think of a perspective of what I would have wanted to hear when I was in that situation.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's not so much the advice. I think it might be more about, just a sense of everything's gonna be okay. It's just something as simple as it's gonna be okay. It's all
Mm.
gonna work out for you. Would be enough, because I think when you're in that kind of mind state, and this is coming from someone who's been in that mind state before, it's it's it, sometimes you get to a point where you ask yourself, what is this really for me? And I think the biggest thing in that situation is doubting yourself. So my
Mm.
first advice is, don't doubt yourself, because at the end of the day, that's not going to get you anywhere. Period. Doubt is a very difficult thing to overcome. It's no one's can do anything for you if you don't believe in yourself to begin with. So that's definitely my first um, piece of advice for someone.
Right.
And second would be, just loosen up. Loosen up. Sometimes people take life too serious, and it's like we're here and we're living, and sometimes people are so focused on what they want, that sometimes it makes it feel better. You gotta just be grateful for just looking around, and just being grateful you're here, and
Right.
and the things you have at the moment. If you're in a situation that it's about excelling, a lot of people get caught up uh, in the wrong things, and it's just about clearing your mind, man. I think that's the biggest thing I could tell someone, that it's like, don't doubt yourself, and loosen up. Don't beat yourself up over something, because at the end of the day, that's not going to help the situation. I think what you need to do is really just step back, analyze the situation, and have a game plan. Have a game plan, a realistic game plan that says, it's like sometimes people like to set a time frame for something, or stuff like that, but it's not all, it doesn't always work out like that. It's sometimes it's a leap of faith. And
Mm.
and if you're not willing to take a leap of faith, then you'll never know.
Right.
At least at the end of the day, if you took a leap of faith, at least you have that feeling of, well, I took a leap of faith, and what was meant to happen happened, and what didn't happen.
Wow. Thanks for that, man. Thanks. Last question. What would you define as your purpose?
Mm. My purpose, uh, at this age right now, we're always evolving, we're always growing, but I think at this point, it's about getting into a position where I can truly give back to my community, and just empower the next generation of people that comes after me. It's just like the people I look up to inspired me. I hope to be in that position one day, where I can be someone that they can look up to, and it's a chain cycle. We're all empowering each other, and most importantly, I want to start with empowering you know the youth in my community, because I know where my origins come from. I know where um what it took to get, even just to be able to take this opportunity to move forward with things that I'm moving forward with. And I think that giving more kids that opportunity is something very, very special to me. And I think it's that's the bigger purpose than just saying I'm building a fashion brand, or a singer songwriter, and selling hit records or something like that. I think there always has to be a good cause to empowering the next generation of people, that I mean, at least at my point, I hope carry on
Yeah.
the purpose of giving back.
Thanks for that, man. I think you're doing it. I
Thank
think
you so
that
much.
you're going to even be even more of a success than you already are.
Thank you so much.
uh,
Really
and
appreciate that.
we'll support you every along the entire journey, man, because
Thank you so much.
you are a person that is doing it. That is all about what embodies what we do. So thank you for being here. Thank you for
It's a pleasure.
sharing your yeah.
A
Thank
pleasure.
you for sharing your gift. Michael Coveto, all or nothing.
All or nothing, or like we say in Spanish, todo o nada, available today on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Make sure to check it out.
Excellent.
Um,
We're
full
going to be
collection
doing some
fundraising.
IG lives with you too, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
week.
definitely. We're scheduling that right now, so I look forward to sitting down with you guys for some more Q&As. Uh,
Excellent.
welcome
Drop
to welcome
drop
to
some
our.
more of these great beats that I'm loving. I'm going to go right now and download it. So
Thank you so
you'll
much.
see that ticker go up one in a minute. Cuz it go out and get it, y'all. It is great music, especially like summertime. Like, when this whole thing breaks, we'll be out and be able to get out and drive around and cruise with this good music. So, man,
Yeah.
thanks again, brother. Thanks again.
No, thank
Um,
you guys for having me. It's a truly a
Listen,
pleasure.
man. Well, would you come back? Would you come back and maybe even do a
Absolutely.
little do a little crooning live with us on the
Absolutely. I love to I love to mingle with you guys a little bit, and it's all or nothing.
Excellent, man. Well, thanks again for being here. Appreciate you. And we'll definitely be seeing each other again on IG, right?
We will. We
All
will.
right. Listen, everybody. We got a couple more minutes here. Just want to tell you that coming next Saturday, we have even more great inspiration. We're gonna have author. Who's gonna be here next week? I'm messing up here. Author and speaker Kim Stanwood Terranova. She's going to be talking about her new book, The Technology of Intention. And so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great, great, great discussion about seizing the power in your life. Remember, don't forget to check out Soulivity TV, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just for you. You'll be able to see a rebroadcast of this whole discussion very soon. Also, airing live tomorrow for our Self Care Sunday, morning yoga with Michaela, the Style Brunch, and live with Jesse and Melva, all starting at noon Eastern tomorrow. So you want to check that out. Until next week, this is Brian Wesley Johnson saying thank you for joining us. Listen, with everything that is going on in the world, especially today and for every day afterwards, I want to wish you and yours, and speaking on behalf of myself and Michael, a life full of passion, purpose, high quality living. Take care of yourselves, take care of your communities. Remember that we're all in this together. It's all about ascension. When they go low, we go high. See you